Thank you. Thank you very much. So we need to move to a finite Earth economy. This, as you can see, looks like the cover of the book that maybe you've read. There was initially a trilogy of ebooks, and then the print book, Moving to a Finite Earth Economy Crew Manual. We have to do this, we, humanity. Whenever I use the pronoun we in this presentation, I'm talking about humanity, okay? Now, one thing I want to say is that I stand on the shoulders of R. Buckminster Fuller, Marshall McLuhan, and Dr. Alvin Toffler, the three great futurists of the last century looking into this century. And here I want to quote from Bucky Fuller. In several decades, humanity will be at a fork in the road, utopia or oblivion, either a utopia of abundance or an oblivion of destruction. He wrote this in his book, Utopia or Oblivion, in 1970. So several decades he said this would happen. We're at the fork in the road. I think we have unknowingly, unwittingly, ignorantly started going down the path of oblivion. And that is due to climate change. So we're at this fork in the road. He was talking about this, remember, 50 years ago, but we haven't done anything. Now here's a quote from Socrates that I'd like to read. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So as I speak, in 2019, there's the Sunrise Movement, the Extinction Rebellion, Greta Thunberg, going everywhere, doing demonstrations about change. Climate change scientists are still writing books about, oh, it's real, stop the denial. We have moved past the age of denial, and it's into what do we need to do. So this quote from Socrates addresses that. Let's stop pushing back against the oil industries and anybody who still, for any reason, does not want to pay attention to what's going on with climate change, and start to create the new future, which in this case is the finite Earth economy. So climate change is now. We've had 5 decades. Earth Day 1 was 50 years ago, 5 decades ago. And there's been incrementalism, reduce, reuse, recycle, we'll do a little bit, but it hasn't been enough, and it hasn't been quick enough. So we need to move forward. Humans are reactive, right? The problem with humans is, in the last several decades, oh, you know, there may be something called climate change that might happen in several decades. Okay, let me know when it happens. So the silver lining today, 2019, 2020, is that climate change is here. We are all, as humans, in the fight or flight mode. Saber-toothed tiger comes, do we fight it or flight it? That's in our DNA. It's not in our DNA to worry about something that may be 50 years away. So the good news, if there is any good news in climate change, is that climate change is now, and we are a reactive species. So that is why now there is no time for denial, and there's only time for mobilization and changing course of direction so we don't go down the wrong path that I was mentioned to earlier, that Fuller mentioned. Okay? Okay, so I just saw how many of you raised your hands that you've used the phrase, save the planet. Don't ever do that again. It shows your ignorance, okay? It means that you've taken a meme out of somewhere, save the planet, and used it to show that you are an environmentalist. We don't have to worry about the planet, okay? The planet has been here for 3.5 billion years. And it's probably going to be here for another 3.5 billion years until the sun blows up. The Earth is going to be fine. We're going to be gone. Dinosaurs were gone, right? So it's not about saving the planet. It is about the second line here, saving ourselves from ourselves. If we are the reason, if growth economies is the anthropomorphic cause of climate change, then we have to undo what we have done. We have to save ourselves from ourselves. So if somebody comes up with a petition and says, hi, sign my petition to help save the planet, or if you're in a hotel room like I am, oh, tell you what, if you don't make us wash your towels, you're helping to save the planet. That's BS, okay? We need to save ourselves from ourselves. And it is our economic construct the growth economies, where we buy, we consume, use, and discard. We're disconnected from the consequences of what we do. I get my garbage picked up on Tuesdays in Sarasota. Oh, and it's gone. It's not gone. It's just moved to another part of Spaceship Earth. But I think it's gone because I don't see it. When you eat a quarter-pound hamburger, are you conscious of the fact that 6 pounds of CO2 is going up in the atmosphere? No, because you're disconnected. Causal effect, your cause of your actions is invisible. So that's why we can't see what we're doing to this Spaceship Earth. And this Spaceship Earth leads me to crew consciousness. I created a nonprofit in 2015 called thisspaceshipearth.org to create crew consciousness on the planet. To quote the third great futurist in my book, Marshall McLuhan, around the time of Earth Day, 1970, he said, "There are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew." So we have to crew spaceship. Why spaceship? A spaceship is not getting resupplied. Nobody's resupplying finite Earth. So it's impossible to think that we can live in a finite planet with infinite growth. We have come up against that now with close to 8 billion people. So we all have to become crew members of this Spaceship Earth. So these are the three economies that humans can live in. Most of the world, all of us in this auditorium, in this country, live in a growth economy. And growth economies are all about growth. As it says, oh, I'm a consumer, it's me. All of you in a growth economy, the economy doesn't matter, doesn't care that you are who you are or you're smart as you are, you've got these accomplishments. You're only a consumer. You are only measured by how much you consume, okay? So all of the metrics about well-being in growth economies are output, GDP. GDP is not a good measurement of happiness. It's not a good measurement of humanity. It's not a good measurement of planet Earth. So this is the root cause of climate change, endless growth in a finite planet. So then remember back in 1970, Earth Day 1, reduce, reuse, recycle. That began the circular economy, where it's circular because we're going to reuse some of this stuff. So a little bit of the time, if you're in a circular economy, oh, it's about us. I'm doing my job. Don't you feel good? Reduce, reuse, recycle. But it's not enough. In the research that we did for this book, we realized that only 10%, in 2018, only 10% of the global GDP is the circular economy. So it's too late. It's too late. We haven't taken charge of this situation. So now we have no choice but to move to a finite Earth economy, which, as you can see, is conscious, non-consuming. Humanity and the Earth comes first. As a way to begin this process, walk into your closet and count the number of things you haven't worn in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year. Well, why do you still have them? We're so conditioned to buy. We get all of these messages every single day. Buy, 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 be different. Fashion. Who needs fashion, right? Fashion, fast fashion is horrible. You don't need 20 dresses. You might need 3 or 4. You might need only 2 sweaters. So conscious non-consumption, because we're putting ourselves first, our experiences, and our freedom of mind and thought not being cluttered, and the planet. If you buy something new, in some way, shape, or form, you have taken resources from the planet. So what we need to do in a finite Earth economy is make the word used something that's admirable. I bought this used. That's much better than, oh, look at the new thing I got, right? So we need to move to a finite Earth economy and out of growth economies. So, in summary here, we have 3 paths to the end of the century. One is catastrophic. That's staying on the path we're on. And if we do that, there will not be civilization as we know it for your grandchildren, or your great-grandchildren, or some of the younger ones here in the audience, your children. And by 2050, that's highly risky. Anytime you read something, well, by 2050, we will fill in the blank, it's too late. We have to move to a finite Earth economy and change our ways and move away from growth economies by 2030. We have to do that, and again, with multiple explanation points. Urgency, urgency, urgency. Thank you very much.